Long ago, in a small village surrounded by dense forests and winding rivers, there lived a man named Vlad. He was tall, strong, and renowned for his hard work. Vlad had a heart full of love, especially for his beautiful wife, Giselle. Their love was like the morning sun, brilliant, warm, and full of hope. When Giselle became pregnant, Vlad was overcome with joy. He sang, danced under the moonlight, and promised to love his wife and their unborn child for eternity. But life sometimes delivers cruel trials. Giselle died while giving birth to their daughter, Abigail. Her death shattered Vlad's heart into 1,000 pieces. Yet, when he looked into the innocent eyes of his little daughter, he found a reason to live again. Abigail became his entire world, his ray of sunshine after the storm. 6 months after Giselle's death, Vlad did something unexpected. He remarried. His family and friends whispered behind his back. One day, his closest friend, Darius, asked him, "Why? When Giselle's grave is still fresh." Vlad let out a deep sigh before replying, "Abigail needs a mother. I cannot raise her alone. She is just a baby. She needs the warmth and care of a woman." And so Paula entered Vlad's life. She was beautiful, with dark hair and piercing eyes that shone like river stones. But beauty can be deceptive. As soon as she crossed the threshold of the house, everything began to change. At first, Paula pretended to love Abigail, but soon her true nature emerged. "This baby cries too much," complained, she would say, frowning and covering her ears. "You cannot make her quiet. I did not marry you to become a nanny." Blinded by love and the fear of raising Abigail alone, Vlad ignored Paula's harsh words. He believed that with time, she would come to love the child. He was wrong. One scorching afternoon, Paula proposed to Vlad, "Let's go to the river. The fresh air will do Abigail good." Vlad agreed, carrying his daughter in his arms. Abigail giggled softly, unaware of the dark look fixed upon her. The river glittered under the sun. Its waters danced like silver snakes. The breeze whispered secrets among the trees. Vlad settled under a large tree, holding Abigail close to his heart, and smiled, though his heart was filled with bitterness. Paula wanted to get rid of Abigail. To her, the baby was nothing but a burden, a constant reminder. Suddenly, Paula stood up and stretched. "Vlad, I need some herbs from the forest. Can you go fetch them? I'll watch over Abigail without worry." Vlad agreed and ventured into the forest. His footsteps faded until he was out of sight. Once he was gone, Paula's smile vanished. She watched Abigail play with her little fingers, so innocent and full of life. Without a moment's hesitation, Paula took the baby, walked to the riverbank, and, with a heart as cold as stone, threw her into the tumultuous waters. A faint cry, a swirl of foam, then silence. Paula collapsed on the ground, wiping the dirt from her face, and tore her skirt to create the illusion of a struggle. Then she began to howl, crying as if her soul were shattered. When Vlad returned with the herbs, worry etched on his face, he asked, "What happened?" Paula sobbed, the river took Abigail. She slipped from my arms. I tried to save her, but the current was too strong." Vlad sank to his knees, his heart broken once again. He stared at the raging river, refusing to believe what had occurred. Tears streamed down his cheeks as he cursed himself. "If only I hadn't gone. But the river, it's the truth. The trees witness the crime, and sometimes innocent souls do not remain silent." Days passed. Vlad stopped eating, and the house felt emptier than ever. Paula pretended to comfort him, but guilt is a poison that seeps into the soul like a never-disappearing shadow. Then strange events began. Every night, Paula heard the cries of a baby. She would wake with a start, drenched in sweat, searching for the source of sound. Yet nothing was there, only a heavy silence until the following night. One evening, as the full, low moon shone, Vlad sat under the tree by the river, his eyes filled with tears. Suddenly, he heard a faint cry resembling Abigail's. His heart raced. The sound grew louder, drawing him to the bank. There, floating on the water, he saw a small bracelet, the very one Giselle had made for Abigail before her birth. Vlad picked it up, his fingers trembling, the cold metal sinking into his palm as if whispering a truth he refused to acknowledge. The ghostly cry echoed in his mind. A doubt arose, a deep, growing premonition. When he returned home, clutching the bracelet, he found Paula sitting by the fire, pretending to mend her shirt. She looked up and forced a smile without a word. Vlad threw the bracelet onto the table. "I found it near the river," he said in a hoarse, trembling voice. For a moment, Paula paled, then recovered quickly and laughed nervously. And then, Abigail, was she the only child in the village to wear a bracelet? "You're going crazy, Vlad. You're letting your grief make you delirious." Vlad's heart tightened at her words. Perhaps he was overthinking. He rubbed his temples, trying to dispel the doubts creeping in. Paula continued in her sweet, yet cutting tone. "If you continue like this, you'll lose your mind. Let Abigail rest in peace." That night, Vlad could not sleep. The bracelet he had found burned his soul like a truth that refused to be forgotten. The next morning, as the sun painted the sky orange, Darius burst into Vlad's courtyard, his face dark with anger. He didn't even bother to greet Paula, who was nonchalantly sweeping near the entrance. Vlad shouted, "How can you be so blind? How can you believe Paula's lies? Do you really think the river swept Abigail away, an infant of 6 months in broad daylight?" Vlad's face flushed with rage. He rose so abruptly that his chair crashed to the ground. "Get out of my house." Darius screamed, "You're jealous because my wife is prettier than yours. That's why you fill my head with nonsense." Darius clenched his fists furiously. "You're jealous. You're a fool, Vlad, a blind fool." Vlad did not wait for more. He lunged at Darius, grabbing him by the collar. They fought like wild beasts, fists flying over the dusty floor. Neighbors rushed over, shouting, trying to pull him apart, but Vlad was uncontrollable. "Never set foot in my house again," he spat. "Stay away from my family and me." Darius slowly rose, his face bruised with blue marks, but his spirit intact. He pointed a trembling finger at Paula, who stood under the porch, arms crossed, a mocking glimmer hidden behind her cold eyes. "One day," Vlad hissed at Darius, "the truth will hit you harder than my fists, and on that day, I won't be there to catch you." With those words, he turned and left, leaving Vlad's heart pounding like a drum. That night, the baby's cries returned, soft and distant. Meanwhile, Paula awoke in a sweat, eyes wide in the darkness. "Did you hear that, Vlad?" she asked in a trembling voice. Vlad turned toward her, his face stern and silent, and replied coldly, "No." Then he turned back to the wall. 5 years passed, yet the shadow of Abigail's loss still loomed over Vlad's house like an invisible spirit. The once strong man now carried sadness in his eyes, even as he worked tirelessly. Life went on, but something within him remained broken, a crack that time could not mend. Paula, on her part, became increasingly agitated. Despite all her prayers and efforts, she had not conceived a child. Month after month, hope was met only with disappointment. But it wasn't the desire to be a mother that weighed on her heart. It was the fear that Vlad would take another woman, a younger one who would finally give him an heir. One evening, Paula sat by the fire, silent tears rolling down her cheeks. Her sobbing echoed in the small house, rousing Vlad from his thoughts. He approached her, worried. "Paula, why are you crying?" She quickly wiped her face, ashamed of being caught in weakness. "Vlad, I'm afraid," she murmured. "I'm afraid you'll leave me because I can't give you a child, and that you'll find another woman, someone younger, who can bear you children." Vlad took her hands, his gaze softening. "I will never leave you, Paula. You are my wife, child or not, I will remain by your side." For a moment his words soothed her, but deep inside, Paula knew that promises are like leaves. They fly away easily when the storm comes. One scorching afternoon, the sun beat down mercilessly upon the village. The air vibrated with life. Children laughed, women chattered. Birds sang their endless melodies. Reclining in the shade, Paula complained in a languid voice, "Vlad, I'm too weak to fetch water today. Can you go to the river for me?" Vlad did not argue. He grabbed his gourd and set off, his steps crushing the dry earth beneath him. The path was familiar, but today something felt different. The air was heavy, as if even the trees were holding their breath. Arriving at the riverbank, Vlad bent down to fill his gourd. The cool water reflected his tired face. But just as he was about to rise, a soft voice came from behind him. "Sir, can you help me, please?" Vlad spun around. A little girl, no more than 5 years old, stood a few paces away. Her curly hair was tangled, her ragged clothes hung loosely, and her large brown eyes carried a sorrow that tightened his heart. "Who are you?" he asked, slowly rising. The little girl lowered her head, her tiny fingers nervously twisting together. I don't know," she whispered. "I don't remember my name, my village, or my parents. I'm lost." Vlad's heart ached. How could such a young child be alone in nature? He scanned the surroundings, expecting to see someone running, but the bank was deserted. Only the murmur of the water and the distant cries of birds broke the silence. He knelt, gazing into the frightened eyes of the little girl. "You remember nothing?" She shook her head, tears welling up. Vlad sighed deeply, his heart heavy. He thought of Abigail, her tiny hands, her gentle laughter, her innocent face. His chest tightened, as if the river itself had settled inside him. "I can't leave you here. Come with me," he said softly. "I'll take care of you." The little girl nodded, and without hesitation, her small hand slipped into Vlad's, as if it had always belonged there. In one hand he held his gourd, in the other the fragile fingers of the child. Together they walked back. But when they reached the house, Paul arrived quickly from afar. Her face first twisted in confusion, then with something else, jealousy. Forcing a smile as she saw Vlad enter, she asked in an overly sweet, insincere tone, "Who is this child?" Vlad explained what had happened, how he found the little girl alone at the riverbank with no memory, not even her name. "I couldn't let her die out there." Paula's smile faded, replaced by a grimace, but she said nothing more. That night, Vlad laid out a small map by the fire for the little girl, who curled up silently, her breathing soft and even. As he watched her sleep, something stirred deep within him, a feeling he could not explain, as if a missing piece had finally found its place. Lying beside him, Paula stared into the darkness, her mind in turmoil. She did not like the presence of this child. There was something about her, the look in her eyes, the severed face, that made her uncomfortable. Days turned into weeks, and the little girl became a part of their home. She was quiet but observant, her large eyes constantly scanning her surroundings as if searching for something familiar. Vlad grew attached to her, treating her as his own daughter. He even gave her a name, Hope, because she had brought a new light into his darkened heart. Gradually, Hope took root in Vlad's life like a sturdy tree. But she was different from the other children in the village. She spoke little, yet when she did, her words carried a strange wisdom beyond her years. Her big brown eyes seemed to conceal unfathomable secrets, as deep as the river where Vlad had found her. In her presence, Vlad rediscovered a peace he believed was lost forever. Though his fields still suffered and the land refused to yield as it once had, having Hope by his side filled a void within him, a void he thought impossible to heal. One peaceful evening, as the sun set, painting the sky in hues of orange and violet, Vlad sat on an old wooden stool, repairing a broken farm tool. Hope sat next to him. Suddenly, she turned and murmured softly, "Daddy, I don't want you to call me Hope anymore." Vlad froze, his hands halted mid-motion. He looked at her, puzzled. "Why, my dear? Don't you like that name?" The little girl slowly shook her head. Her eyes met his, and for an instant, Vlad felt as though he were plunging into a distant memory, a reflection of a long-buried recollection. "Call me Abigail," she whispered. The words slipped from Vlad's hands and fell to the floor with a sharp sound. His heart pounded. A cold shiver ran down his spine as he stared at his suddenly dry throat. "What did you say?" he gasped. "Call me Abigail," she repeated calmly, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Vlad's breath caught. "Abigail was the name of my daughter," he murmured. "My baby. She was taken by the river when she was only 6 months old." His eyes filled with tears as memories resurfaced. The sound of Abigail's laughter, the warmth of her tiny body in his arms, and the icy void she left behind. "I know everything that happened," the little girl said in a voice as calm as a river before a storm. I know that day you went to fetch herbs. I know how Paula claimed the river took me. I know about Darius and the bracelet. Vlad's eyes widened, his heart thundering in his chest. He slowly stepped back, trembling. How? How do you know these things? He stuttered, his voice barely audible. The little girl placed her small hand on his chest, just above his heart. Don't worry, Daddy, she said softly. Now that I'm here, I bring blessings. You'll see your crops grow quickly. You'll be rich soon. The darkness that haunts you will vanish. Vlad could barely speak, his throat dry, his heart beating like a drum amid a village celebration. That night, he did not sleep. He sat by the fire, his eyes fixed on the dancing flames, his thoughts tangled like a fisherman's net. Could it be that she is Abigail? How could that be possible? The next day, a miracle occurred. Vlad went to his fields and stopped dead in his tracks. The crops, once dry and dying, now stood tall and lush. The land that had been nothing but cracked and desolate was now rich and fertile. With trembling hands, he touched the leaves in disbelief. It was magic. No, it was a miracle. Vlad rushed home, his heart caught between fear and hope. He burst in, only to find Hope, now clearly Abigail, sitting calmly, humming a gentle tune as if nothing extraordinary had happened. It's true, she said in a trembling voice. The crops, a smile brightened her face, her eyes sparkling like stars. I told you, Daddy, she said softly. I bring blessings. Vlad fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. He hugged her tightly, his heart overflowing with love and confusion. My daughter, he murmured, voice trembling. I'm sorry. I promise never to abandon you again. I will protect you until my last breath. Abigail smiled gently and embraced him in return. Don't worry, Daddy. I will always protect you. In that embrace, all the pain, all the lies, and all the tears disappeared, because love had triumphed. Dear viewers, what lesson do you draw from this poignant story? Tell us in the comments if you enjoyed it. Leave a thumbs up, share it, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to enable notifications so you never miss an update. Thank you for following us, and may blessings be with you.